Okay.
You can call me in order.
Okay.
And there, are you hearing everything on Zoom land, guys? Just give me a thumbs up. Can you hear anything?
Yeah,
Oh, I hear somebody. Okay, cool.
yeah, we can hear you.
Fabulous. It's gonna come out of there.
This is Jane Kipp, and I'm calling the meeting to order. Roll call of officers. Jane Kipp, acting chairman.
Karen James, treasurer.
Emily Herndon, secretary.
John Wilkie, member.
Okay, that's it. Okay, we need to have an approval of the agenda.
I'll motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we need an approval of the minutes from December the 11th. Does anyone make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bonner history tidbits. Is there going to be one tonight?
I've got that, can you hear me?
No, you didn't hook up to the speaker system.
I didn't. Can you figure that out?
I don't know. Are you hooked up to the?
HDMI? Yeah, I think so, but I don't, maybe not. Just 1 second, Judy, then we'll get you loud.
Oh,
No worries.
Choose the audio settings. No, it's not right here at the
Yeah, probably down there. There you go.
see somebody.
Kind of jumped into a weird stuff.
Yeah. Let's see.
General.
Let's do audio.
Comment area.
So would you access this from Highway 200 to Highway 210?
Oh,
Okay, there's a lot of things. So the Garnet Street?
Go up there between the houses.
Okay.
or I can just crank it out.
Yeah. Okay.
It's probably one way access and then the other will be over here. You know.
Okay. Go ahead, Judy.
Judy's are talking.
Yeah, are you ready?
Yeah, give us 1 second. Yeah, there is. Let's go like that. I think we're 1 second. Oh, gosh. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
How did you hear about it?
My right on page.
Oh, I wonder if it's remote controlled.
Okay. Oh, remote control.
Yeah, it'd be scary. Someone
Okay, now to try, Judy.
Okay, ready for a tidbit?
Yes.
coming across from Mystic Road.
Yes?
Yes, now we got a good control on there. Perfect.
All right, thank you.
On the
Tonight our tidbit is about the 1996 ice jam, which resulted in the release of pollution and forced EPA and local officials to rethink options for dealing with Milltown Dam. And this is from an article called Rising Concern that was published in the Missoula on January 29, 2002, and it was written by Sherry Devlin at that time writing for the Missoula. And the place is Milltown, and the first sentence of the article says, "The universe changed for Milltown Dam at 5:15 p.m. on Friday, February 9, 1996. The serpent was on the way," said Dave Ball, a sergeant in the Missoula County Sheriff's Department. When he called Montana Power's crew at the powerhouse, Ball was less away. "An ice jam is coming down the Blackfoot River," he said. "It is 10 feet high, 40 feet wide, and 5 miles long, and it's moving at 10 miles an hour. It is 18 miles from Milltown." Ball followed the ice jam as best he could, watching for anyone who might be in the way. "It would build and fall, it was breathing," he said. "That's why I called it the serpent. The front end had a curl, one like a big surfer wave." There were fears that the ice would stop suddenly and flood up the river, and fears that it would not stop and would plow into Milltown Dam. We weren't worried about a dam failure, but we were worried about damage. He said, the ice was just coming down, not only ice, but trees and everything else. Montana Power Hydropower Superintendent Bob Cubbigan flew to Missoula from Butte. He reached the dam at 8 p.m. At 8:10 p.m., Montana Disaster and Emergency Services called. The ice jam is moving rapidly, he was told. It is now 5 miles long, 16 feet high, and it's 3 miles above the Milltown Dam. Covington ordered the plant operator to cut the dam stanchion tripping devices with a torch to release the spill panels, an emergency measure that quickly lowered the level of the reservoir. 33 stanchions were cut in 35 minutes. 16 others would not trip because they were frozen and in place. The dam's radial gate was open 9 feet to allow for additional spilling, and the hydropower plant was taken offline. The flow over the dam measured 9,000 cubic feet per second, very high for February. At 9:15 p.m., 3/4 of a mile above the dam, the ice jam ground to a stop. When it hit that big S-curve on the river above the lumber mill, it really slowed down, Wolf said. The circuit just spread out and stopped, and we all started breathing again. The universe had, however, changed. By drawing down the water so rapidly, the dam operators not only released water, but also sediment from the reservoir bottom. River ice was also moving down the Clark Fork in sheets. A few days later, the Blackfoot ice broke into icebergs. Each wave of ice scoured more sediments from the reservoir, and with only mine and smelter tailings accumulated there for over 88 years. Peter Nielsen, an environmental health supervisor at Missoula County Health Department, knew the river would be damaged. Water samples taken during the ice flow and flood by Nielsen and co-worker provided the proof. On February 10th, water downstream from the dam showed copper levels of 630 to 770 parts per billion. The state standard for copper is 18 parts per billion. Zinc, with the state aquatic life standard of 120 parts per billion, reached concentrations of 1,310 parts per billion. By comparison, water samples taken from Silver Bow Creek, which was so polluted it was lifeless at the time, showed 64 parts per billion copper. 3 months later, John Wardell, the chief of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's Montana office, called a meeting of Missoula City and County officials. He was carrying the results of Nielsen's water sampling. We have decided to re-examine our thinking, Wardell said. Before the ice jam, the EPA had been poised to announce a cleanup plan for Milltown Reservoir, a Superfund site because of the metals and arsenic in its 6.6 million cubic yards of sediment. Conventional wisdom believed the agency would opt to leave the sediments in place and store them behind the dam. The sediments would continue to contaminate groundwater below the reservoir and in Milltown, but residents there had been provided with clean water, drinking water from a well along the Blackfoot River. Wardell had already warned local officials that they would be expected to pass whatever ordinances or regulations were needed to prevent the drilling of wells in the plume of pollution. On the last day of April 1996, he changed course. The water quality violations caused by the ice tower were not acceptable, Wardell said. The EPA would work on a revised cleanup plan that prevented the movement of such highly contaminated pulses of metals over Milltown Dam. 3 months later, state fisheries biologists joined the chorus. Trout populations in the Clark River below Milltown Dam had been decimated by the icy slug of metals. Some age classes were down 86% from the previous summer. If we had made a decision earlier, we would not have been so strongly focused on sediment removal, Wardell said. To the credit of Missoula County, there was a constant pushback that said, until you've taken a careful look at removal, we're not going to be happy. At least initially, the EPA was more inclined to look at leaving the sediments in place as a presumptive choice until something came along. After the ice event, we felt that perhaps we'd been too quick to dismiss the removal option. Perhaps we should take out some sediments and not leave a lingering problem. With the talk of sediment removal, Wardell said, came the first serious discussion of removing Milltown Dam. Later this year, 6 years after the ice jam, 2009, the EPA will propose a cleanup plan for Milltown Reservoir. There are two choices, Wardell said, keep the dam and sediments in place, or remove the sediments and also the dam. We're not trying to cry chicken little. We're not trying to use scare tactics, said Nielsen, the City County Health Department's Environmental Health Supervisor and point man on Milltown Dam. But it's a matter of time before an event of significant magnitude causes very significant damage to that dam. We've got concerns about ice loading, floods, and earthquakes. We're concerned about settlement in the spillway structure and about leakage. The more he investigated the dam and its history of repairs, the more Nielsen believed that it had to go. There is evidence, he said, that the center of the spillway is subsiding and shifting downstream. Some of the dam sits on bedrock, some on alluvial river deposits. There are doubts about how the structure will fare in an earthquake. There are cracks in the spillway. And the story goes on to outline the rest of the damage that was possible should the dam fail. So the next time we're enjoying a walk down in Milltown State Park, you can think back to the day that everything changed, February 5th, 1996, with the ice jam. And that's our history tidbit.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
All right, time for public comment for items not on the agenda.
I wanted to bring up something that I was told a little bit about this week. I live on Stimson, right here in Bonner, and apparently there's some talks about houses and condos or apartment buildings going in behind the dirt road there, between the dirt road and Bonner Mountain. So I just wanted to raise that and question or figure out, how we can get more information on it, or talk to the railroad, maybe have someone come in from the railroad to tell us what the plan is with that old abandoned railroad track. Does anyone have any information or thoughts on that?
I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure where to go for information other than the Bonner Mill properties owners. They might,
The county zoning, to see if anybody's talked to them about it, and possibly the railroad, because someone would really have to do something with the railroad to even get anything back there.
yeah.
I was told that they're planning to access it from going down 210 and taking a left on, what is that road?
I think it's Garnet.
Garnet, and so the traffic will go back through that way to the properties, as well as probably from my house, by the dirt road there too, but.
Rick's got a question, which is usually something that he knows about. Rick?
Hi, Rick.
You're on mute.
Hello, yeah, this is Rick. It would have to go before county planning before anything could be done. And I'm on the county planning board. I'm appointed for another year. So I would definitely bring it to this group if I heard of anything that was happening in our area.
Huh.
And we certainly did that with the West Log Yard as soon as we knew anything about it. And so I don't know of any way that they can, well, there's a way to bypass planning, and that is there's a new subdivision law that allows pretty standard subdivisions to go in with minimal review. It wouldn't go before planning, but it would go before the board. But I'd be happy to check on anything if you could email to bcommunitycouncil@gmail.com with the area you're talking about. I'll be happy to check on it.
Okay, sure, great. Yeah, I think, when they've had the mill, people come to the tap room, sometimes they they had everybody there maybe a year ago, and they were laying out plans for the rest of the mill, and
Well, I can tell you this, that the county doesn't have a much stomach for developing in areas without sewer and water. That's why the development right now is focused on the Y, where they have a big infrastructure project going on there. And so it's unlikely that they're going to want to put a lot more septics or even a subdivision of septics in. But who knows?
That's good news, yeah.
I'll still be happy to check.
Okay, I'll email, yep, yeah.
I've heard Steve Nelson talk about this recently, and I would think he's got information that you would want to hear.
I heard it was like going to be a green space at one point. Have you heard that too? Like a park?
I think that would be part of it, probably.
Yeah.
But I don't know the details. I just,
Maybe we should have them come talk to us.
I would suggest that.
Okay, all right.
And they have definitely platted the Milltown area, you know. So it's in individual lots. So that was done a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Okay, I'll reach out to Steve Bowen? Nelson. To come speak about plans.
Any other items? I had a person who lives out in the Tura area ask me a question about our community council. They want to know where the demarcation line was between the Bonner one and the Clinton one. Does anybody know?
School district.
It's just school district? Okay.
There's a map on it.
Yeah, community council page. I think I've seen that, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Any other items anybody wants to bring up? Okay, we have this, any announcements? Anybody have any announcements?
Oh, I do, trying to find my reaction.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Judy wants to talk. There you go.
yeah, I finally found my hand, sorry. I'd like to announce that we have a roundtable coming up on Sunday. We just talked about the Milltown Dam. This talk is going to be about the history of the Bonner Dam, which some people may not know there was ever a dam on the Blackfoot River. It was taken out in 2005. And Tony Leon is a retired from the Department of Natural Resources, and he documented the removal. And if you're wondering about all the logs that popped up afterwards that you still see along the shoreline, he's going to talk about that. And the History Roundtable is Sunday, February 18th, 2 to 4 p.m. at the tap room of the Carroll House. And that's 605 Old Smoke Lane. If you don't know the address, the title of his talk is Freeing the Blackfoot, Removal of the Bonner Dam and the Cleanup of the River. So I hope everybody can come to that.
Any other announcements? Tonight we have a speaker on the rural grant update, Heidi West.
Where's the best place for me to be audio-wise?
To the right of this monitor.
And Heidi, are you the one with the PowerPoint, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right in this monitor. There's a lot of them. Just let me know when you're ready.
I had it up on that one and then I realized I was connected on
It's
the
all
one.
good. So I'll introduce myself while the presentation is being pulled up. I think last year Nancy joined you virtually. I think you were just meeting virtually about this time last year to introduce the rural grant program. So last year was our pilot year. of that program. And so I'm doing, basically visiting all the community councils again to let them know how the last year went and what types of projects we funded. And then also to remind you that the rural grant program is accepting applications again right now. So I handed out, actually, hand these to you guys. So I made a one-pager that I shared with all of you just now that basically just shows where in Missoula County all of the funded projects were and the titles of those projects, just to give you an idea of what parts of Missoula County the money was spent in. So, just to recap, the Rural Grant Program has two funding opportunities. One is the micro grant, so that's grants between $100 and $500, and those are, the deadline to apply for those are at the end of every month until we run out of funds, and we have about 10 grants available, so we have $5,000. And if everybody asks for the full 500, we can fund 10 projects. If you want to skip to the next slide. And then we have the impact grant, which basically starts where the micro grant lets off. And that, so it can fund anything between $501. Uh-oh, sorry. It's okay. $501 and $4,000. And these are intended to be larger projects that get finished by the end of the calendar year. And so we're accepting applications for this impact grant right now. Last year we had $20,000 available. This year we actually will have more funding available just because we didn't spend all of the program money last year. So we'll have about $23,500 available. So hopefully we'll be able to fund between 6 and 7 projects depending on how many people apply and what people ask for. So I'll just give you a rundown of the projects that we funded. So if you go to the next slide. So I'll go through the micro grant projects first and then the impact grants. And the first one,
Sorry.
circle, it's all good. So the first project we funded last year was the East Missoula Earth Day cleanup. East Missoula United applied and the county paid for basically promotional materials, so postcards to go to all the residents letting them know that this was an opportunity to get rid of any sort of like large trash that can't go out with the regular trash, and it's all good, we'll just keep moving through.
You're doing great.
We have pretty pictures to go with these, but it's all good if it doesn't work. And probably about, I know at least 300 people signed on to their email list, so lots and lots of households participated. And a really quick and easy grant application was from the Frenchtown Community Council, so the West Valley Community Council. They applied for a grant on behalf of the Senior Citizen Center, or the Senior Citizens Group, and we just bought supplies for a coffee cart. So like coffee urn carts, cleanup materials for that room over in the rural fire district. Next, we'll have the Sealy Lake Bear Fair. So this was also a micro grant. And basically this is an event that allows, educates people on how to live in a community that interfaces with bears. And so we got to support a kids activity is really what the funding went towards on the micro level, but overall it was a big event with 12 community partners, and they gave away bear spray and a bear-proof trash can, which we know that those are expensive and needed. And so then Sealy was actually our most successful community. So they also had another grant that went towards supporting their market. So the county supported the portable restrooms for the market all summer long so that they could operate that event. And I think over the course of the season, probably about 2,400 people attended. And then also another grant in Sealy. So the the Sealy Lake Nordic Club applied for a grant to help improve their trails and specifically their biathlon gun range. It just needed some safety improvements, so they raised the berm and lowered the flat area and then reseeded, so it makes it safer to use for everybody using that trail system. And then the last micro grant we had last year was for the first ever Family Fall Festival over in Frenchtown. And that one, it purchased lawn games and signage for the event. And so that is something that can be used over and over again. And hopefully that'll be a tradition that'll continue in that community. Whoops. And then I'll move on to the impact grants. So the Bonner community did receive an impact grant, which went to the Friends of Two Rivers organization and helped transcribe those oral histories, the roundtables that Judy just mentioned earlier. So over the course of the year, I believe they transcribed 12 of those transcripts, and those are available now on the website and are a resource for our local school here, for the Bonner School, and people more broadly. And they are what made us be able to say, like, this money reached 10,000 people, because even by the last count that Judy had sent me, the website had I think over 8,400 unique users that had visited that information. So that's pretty exciting. Our second impact grant went to the Upper Swan Valley Historical Society, and so they asked for a grant to put the original Swan River Tavern, that's part of their little historical center, onto a permanent foundation, and so that was completed this fall. Another grant went to the Lolo community, to the Travelers Rest State Park, and the county funded basically a series of workshops and demonstrations led by Indigenous people that educate people about traditional crafts and traditional like storytelling and tool making, and introduce people to Native American culture. And I think that was a really successful event. There were some weather issues on some of those weekends, but overall it was a really well-received program. Another program that I believe Bonner participated in is that the Missoula Symphony. So this is an example of a Missoula-based organization applying for funding that is being used in rural communities. So one of the rules of this funding is that it can't be used within the city limits of Missoula. It has to be outside of the city limits. And so the Missoula Symphony applied for funding to bring musicians into the classrooms in some of the rural schools that they work with. So Bonner participated, Target Range participated, and the Lolo School District also participated. So they had musicians that either came into their band or orchestra classrooms, or both, depending on the school. And so this was also a pretty successful program. There's a lot of learning that was done, and hopefully they'll continue this program and maybe reach out to some of our even smaller schools like Sunset School in the future. And then our last, we've got two more. They're all over the place. So this is a project that went out into the Potomac School District. And so they had asked for this very sexy project, which is to upgrade their cooler at their school. And so the rural grant was actually just a small part of a much larger, I guess, funding package that came together with some other granting sources. Grants, and so this upgraded their walk-in cooler, which in the past was basically cooled with like a household AC unit, and so it wasn't super reliable and upgraded it with this very fancy new fangled cooling system. And so it benefits all the students in Potomac, but it is also part of their community center. And so during the summer, anybody in the community has a more communal use. And then our last project, which is still in the works, is swim lessons up in Sealy Lake. So this is obviously a community that is on a lake. They have about 90 some kids in this community, and they have no access to swim lessons. And this has actually been really challenging because it turns out there's a shortage of certified instructors in Missoula County these days, so nobody can hire them. And so there were actually several business owners that stepped forward and are being certified so that they can teach swim lessons in Sealy to the kids in their community. So these swim lessons are starting this spring and hopefully will wrap up by the end of June. And so while the projects ideally would end December 31st, obviously sometimes there's things that happen that require some extensions and flexibility. So, and this is a really valuable project. So, do you guys have any questions? So I hope, my goal was to show you kind of the breadth of the different kinds of projects that people applied for and were funded, so that if there's anything you're thinking of in Bonner that you might want to apply for funding for, just to encourage you to do so.
So I think there was a slide that went up on the deadlines for applications.
Yes, and I think that might be, yep, so they're on here.
There it is right there.
Yeah, so the micro grants, one just closed at the end of January. We only got one application, so there's plenty of funding still. We did get one that was submitted today from the school, actually. So we know we have at least one application for February already. But I would recommend, if you have a project, just go for it. And then, yeah, the impact grant, so that funding opportunity is only once a year, and that one closes at the end of February.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And then while I'm here, I also want to give you a plug to take the, let me grab this. We are currently in the process of doing the Housing and Community Development Survey. This closes in a couple of days, and it's pretty important to what we do in the grants department. This gives us some ideas on what kind of funding or projects might be out there, or what kind of projects and priorities communities have, so we can apply for funding on behalf of your communities. So if you have a chance, you can scan this QR code or take these posters and then fill it out. I believe it closes on the 15th, so there's a couple more days that it's open. Does anybody else have any more questions?
No, that was great.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
And then I did bring handbills that have the deadlines and kind of the differences between the two programs, and business cards. So swing by and grab those at the end of the meeting, and call me if you have any questions about projects that could, if you're like, is it eligible, is it not eligible? I'm happy to walk through those questions with anyone who wants to talk to me. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next one is Gary Matson. Are you ready or are you not ready?
So you guys can just stay there if you want. I don't know. What works for you? Is that okay?
Yes.
So I actually didn't plan on being a speaker, but somebody signed me up as a speaker, so I thought, well, I better be one if I'm signed up for it. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I think of the upcoming opportunity for some really nice land use planning and design to happen in our community, that in the lands that are open land that's rapidly disappearing. So there's potential opportunity for it to influence the way our neighborhoods are impacted by future development. There's two large undeveloped acreages. One is the West Log Yard, which we've talked about a lot, and One is just west of the first log yard, of the west log yard on the other side of First Street. And that's property that's owned by Town Pump. So one of the things that happens in our communities is that whenever there's somebody that has a proposal, they maybe run it in, and it's kind of a hodgepodge of different kinds of developments in communities that aren't really corresponding to any particular purposeful design. So one option would be for our community to have an idea about what we wanted to have in which place. And there's potentially a way that that can happen. And so the question is if there's enough local interest to work on that idea of facilitating purposeful designs that would enhance our community. In the past, I was on a council in 2008 when we had a land use committee. And in the past, they initiated a community design. And I don't know if there's interest in doing that again. Members would have to have, members of that committee would need no personal agendas. They need to be people that can work well with others and be collaborative. A probable first step would be to contact county planners and see what they think of that idea. It's been done before. We spent almost a couple of years putting together a plan that ultimately was not approved by the community council for reasons that I won't go into. But so the probable first step would be to contact county planners and see what they think of the idea. The goal would simply be to attract developments that are assets to the community and would benefit everybody. In the West Log Yard, there's going to be a new owner. So things that could happen there, it's zoned industrial, light industrial and heavy industrial, so that is not likely to change, and it's already subdivided. But what could be encouraged is safe walkways, access to public land, and they would be compatible with those zones. The former owner was friendly with those ideas, and I don't know what the new owner would be, so it might be good to work with whoever the new owner is so they know what kind of things we would like to see. One thing that could happen there is a wastewater treatment plant that would treat on-site facilities and then be built big enough to furnish treatment for other neighborhood properties if that were desired in the future. Those kinds of things are possible. But again, it's just at this point an idea. Whether or not the new owner of that property would want to invest in that kind of a facility is something that would take a little bit of investigation. And on the Town Pump properties across the street, they are zoned as neighborhood center. And according to the county, a neighborhood center is designed to be a neighborhood focal point and center of activity, providing opportunities for housing, retail, services, and employment. And I guess such things that could happen there would be like a medical facility, which we've wanted for a long time. Not a quick stop, what do you call it? They're not quick stop there.
Clinics?
Now
cares, yeah. So things like that, or different services or offices, and put together in a coordinated way so that it would really look good and it was attractive. And we all appreciated having it there. Could include sustainable, affordable housing. Housing is permitted in a certain density and those kinds of things. So it's kind of an exciting and far-reaching opportunity, but it would require a lot of local interest and energy. We had 4 persons on our housing land use committee years ago. It would take maybe 4 people, maybe a year or more to put together an idea. And it's not exactly planning, it's kind of planning, but it's community design. Putting in place things that the community wants. And the community normally has no control over what a developer puts in a certain place. But, and you would want to work with the developer and landowner to make sure that they were happy too. I mean, you don't want to just have a one-sided thing. It needs to be a good win-win for everybody. So that's my idea, and I just thought I'd bring it up, and thanks to Emily for making me a speaker.
What was a good idea?
Anybody have any questions about I might? So actually our community council came about as a result of the Superfund. There was a redevelopment working group, and one of the committees on the working group was the governance committee, and we investigated different ways that the community could participate in government, and the community council went to a community vote and passed by, I think, what, 1 vote? 2 votes? So anyway, that's how the community council got started, and it's, you know, it's just a tool available to us to help us encourage things that we'd like to see happen here. All right, well, thank you.
Questions? Oh, Rick has a question.
Oh, who does?
Rick.
I just wanted to kind of share some input. I came from Oregon, don't hate me for that, but Oregon has community planning organizations, and CPOs get all applications for land use in their geographic area, corresponding to much like our community council has a geographic area. And then they get an opportunity to call a neighborhood meeting to discuss it and have input into what developers do and make suggestions and give thumbs up or thumbs down. Not that it contained a lot of power, but at least it was the voice of the community. And, you know, I think we kind of did that with the West Log Yard. I think that most of the suggestions from the community, and thank you, Gary, for being involved in that, were incorporated into the trails that are proposed, into the public access that's proposed, into some of the improvements that are proposed. I know it's not everything everybody wants, but I think we got really some good input, and I think, Gary, your idea is great, because I don't think that planning would have any problem with making sure you're in the loop of all developments that happen in our area, and you know, that group has some input into it. Attracting, I wish we could. I hope you can, because we're definitely underserved when it comes to retail, medical, pretty much everything, you know. I mean, we don't even have a bar, right? I guess town farm. So that's weird for the Missoula area. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there as an idea.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. So the community input part, we had some pretty big community meetings to participate in bringing in ideas about what people wanted to see, and that was part of that process. And you know, so you definitely want to get lots of community input, and they're kind of fun. I mean, people show up and they have ideas, and ideas are always fun. Well, not all ideas, but some. Yeah, thank you.
Well, what would be my thought would be, I mean, should we put that out to the community as something as an interest to see if we can, like, put that out as an interest to the community to see if somebody wants to form that?
Could we vote?
We could talk about it.
Motion
Yeah.
just to have a committee, see if we can get the people together to start with.
So the motion would be to, go ahead, repeat that again.
To create a committee. To look at creating a committee.
Correct, that would be better.
Just to get started.
Just to get credit, yeah.
And
Okay,
see if
so-
we could get 4 people interested. And if we can't even get the 4 people interested, then maybe it's never going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But start with that.
Yeah, because that's an investigation versus an actual action. So I would,
So in the next public comment period,
Okay.
we'll bring that up.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I'm just trying to process correct rules here, but I think just to make sure that the intent is, let's see if we have the people. We can make that as an easy action item to see if we have the people, and we don't even have to make a motion on that. Once we have enough people, we can put up, so the next meeting we have, we can put up the motion to create that committee. How's that?
So we would put it as an open item to see if anybody's interested.
Correct. Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Can we put it on our Facebook page and things like that?
Yeah, I would put it on the Facebook page, and put it out to the listserv. So, yeah, that I can do. Okay, so, gotta write it down.
Thanks, you guys, for being receptive.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And if we get people that are interested, great.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
we'll move on.
Yeah.
Okay, community.
Would it just be like open enrollment, or we select those members who is interested, or figure it out?
We'll figure it out. Let's make sure we get people interested. So, is there community interest in forming a
4-person.
4 or 5 person?
Yeah.
Yeah. Planning committee?
Community Development Planning Committee.
Community, thank you. Development Planning Committee. And I'll kind of give it an example. I'll put it to you guys first before I post it. How's that? Sound good, Rick? Okay. Okay.
All done?
Yep, got it now.
Our next speaker will be Kim Brigham to talk about the St. Anne Catholic Church.
Same place. I'm Kim Brigham, and I'm not representing the History Center tonight. I'm representing the St. Anne Catholic Church. And I'm going to try to make this a lot shorter than originally planned. When I asked to get on the agenda, we were launching a project late last year to take the old church that serves as a storage building at the school, move it over to our property and restore it to its original glory. And what the purpose of a meeting like this would be the required public hearing for a Montana history project or preservation grant, MHP grant, which is, you can get up to $500,000 for these, and we were encouraged by Preserve Montana folks to apply for it. Well, we had a setback. A couple of weeks ago, we were looking at old pictures and found out that it actually wasn't part of the original 1905 church, the first church in Bonner. It was an addition to the church probably in the 1920s. It was a smaller building to a much larger church. I should have picked that up long ago before we started this whole process. I did not. So here we are. We're at a point where, as the committee at the parish, St. Anne's Parish, we had a decision last Sunday to, are we going to just drop the project altogether, or are we going to at least get the church or the building and move it over to our side of the line where it originally came from? So the decision was, let's do something with that to make it represent what it used to represent as part of the 1905 church, and also for what it represents in terms of Bonner community. And so we are going to set out to do that, and we aren't asking for anything financial from anybody, but we are going to be looking at grants like Heidi brought up, and I think that we qualify, but I need to talk more with her about it. We have to set it up on the foundation, but we also have the school. In fact, just today I got a memorandum of understanding from the school, from Jim Howard, that they would basically transfer ownership of that building to St. Anne Church right now. And so we can apply for grants and say, this is our building. And so we've gotten support from, I've got letters from Mike Boehm from the mill owners. I got letters from Nick Chakota of support for our original plan. And so what we're going to do is piece together several grants to at least get it over there and do something with it that will draw attention to that end of Bonner. And so I wanted to just remind, I guess, you of the Community Council's vision statement, part of the vision statement, if I can read it here. Bonner Milltown has a unique heritage as a company town built on the lumber industry. The heritage is visible in historic structures as well as functioning industrial sites and serves as a source of pride for the community. This visual and tangible connection creates a unique identity for residents to connect with, contributing to Bonner Milltown's character as an independent, complete community. This dovetails, I think, a lot into what Gary was talking about earlier. So that's a vision statement of you guys, and I think this really falls into it. And to tell you the truth, we don't have many markers in Bonner, Milltown, West Riverside, Piltsville that point to the history of some of these buildings. And there are a lot of buildings like this that probably deserve that attention in terms of creating a separate or unique identity for our community. One more thing that I'll read from the Missoula County Growth Policy, from Missoula County Community and Planning. Part of their policy is to emphasize community character and quality of life. And it reads, community character and quality of life are important considerations when planning for the future of a community. The health and happiness of community members can be connected to a community that is unique, authentic, and has a sense of place. In today's footloose economy, building community character and quality of life is an essential economic development strategy. So, I won't read Mike Boehm's letter of support for our project, but that's exactly what he was hitting on. The Anaconda Company's company town, the things that it developed and why they developed it, and we can still have that identity as a community separate from Missoula. Mm-hmm. So that's my pitch. I'll throw in this. This is hopefully speaking for the History Center and those interested in preservation of things we've got out here. This is only, I hope, the first step to preserving and interpreting, telling the stories of a lot of places out here. I've talked before about, we've identified 4 buildings, this church being one of them, but the 1886 railroad depot, NP Railroad Depot in Milltown. We've got the 1920 Milltown Library that's now the Grizzly Insulation Building in Milltown. We've got the beautiful Finn Hall over on 4th Street in West Riverside. That these are all buildings that tells really a lot of stories of where we came from as a community. So, that's my spiel. Any questions?
Where did you say you're looking to have it moved to?
It's basically to the other side of the Catholic Church.
Oh, okay.
Right now, it's right on the playground side
I
of
see.
the school.
So it'll
It's
be
right on
between
the property
the two
line.
churches then, kind of?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And to a point where hopefully it would be prominent or draw attention. We'd
Uh-huh.
have
You-
interpretive signs, we'd have
Right.
two big granite stones with one of them having the history and one of them having the support. So I might be back and asking for a letter of support or something. This is not something I need right now. We need right now, but yeah.
And kind of as an offshoot, I'm wondering that white clapboard structure behind the History Center,
Yeah.
behind the post office, what is going to happen with that?
We talked to the mill owners, to Mike Heisey, about that building because we need storage space at the History
And
Center.
I can see it's declining. That
Yeah.
it's not being.
Although it wouldn't take much to
No,
make it
no.
worthy. But apparently somebody bought that building
Huh.
in the last year or two. And maybe Judy can help me out with that. But we have, it used to be right behind the History
Oh,
Center.
it did, huh?
Right.
Huh.
And
I
now-
just don't want to see it demolished.
yeah, and I don't know the future of it. I mean, the door is wide open, you can go
I know,
inside of it.
yeah.
and It's got the real cool Anaconda Company stamps
Yeah.
on the
Well,
shelves.
maybe we can ask Nelson when he's here, we can get him to come in, ask about that too.
Yeah. Judy, do you know any more about
Oh,
that?
Judy's hands up.
Yeah, is she?
Judy, feel free to speak, and you're on mute.
Okay, finally got it. Just a few months ago, I approached Mike Heisey, who's one of the three owners, and he did confirm that that building has been sold, and I guess the person who bought it is just slow in getting it moved. But, yeah, we have our eye on it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, so
also-
they are gonna move it.
And I will throw in, for Judy's sake, and all of our sake, where that building used to sit right behind the History Center is being turned into a community interpretive prairie, as we're calling it. And it's gonna be a really cool project. Small area that's gonna have native plants and a lot of things that, again, represent what used to be here. So,
All right, thank you.
thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, next thing is the bouquet period. Anybody have anything to say?
I'll say I really appreciated the conversation in the community last month. That was well attended for us. I know Celia had a bigger turnout, but I thought that created some great talking points for a lot of people in the community. So kudos to Missoula County.
I'd like to offer a bouquet to Tim O'Leary and the Kettle House Tap Room. They have opened their facility to community events many times. And it's just nice to have that place, and it's a unique view and a unique place, and so appreciate his sharing that with the community.
Okay, any others? Okay, another public comment period. Does anybody have anything they want to bring up? Okay, we had communications, one of which was the report on the Bonner Milltown Community Conversation and the special election district. Anybody who was trying to file should have done so by 5 p.m. today. Filing for property tax assistance for next year in the tax cycle is available by filling out the property tax assistance application forms. The draft community health assessment is available for review, and you can get that on Missoula County Voice. There are the opportunity for routine maintenance to the subdivision regulations is also available at Missoula County Voice. And there are updates to the Missoula County floodplain regulations at Missoula County Voice too. Okay. The next thing is the treasurer's report.
Yeah, actually that should be 59801.
59801?
59801.
Okay.
And I believe I need to apply to get that filled somehow.
You can contact Emmy.
Okay.
Yeah. So whoever does our all community council, just contact her and she'll get you in the right direction.
Okay, thanks.
What was the latest expenditures?
We had Rick's reimbursement for the Zoom annual fee, and then I paid for the post office box at $84, so.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. This woman was supposed to be taking over for the community council, so maybe we have to do to her.
Okay, thanks.
Action items. The county will discuss and vote on whether or not to authorize the following items. A motion, a letter of commitment to the Big Sky Impact Organization, which is an attached letter. So, would anybody like to make a motion on this letter of commitment?
Make a motion.
Does anyone want to second?
Okay, discussion.
Discussion on the item?
I mean, I'll just add in, I read through, your original content of that was like partnering and doing a whole bunch of work, and I was like, that's not us. So I just figured it was easy for us to commit to just putting it out to our listserv and emails about what they're doing, and that was as much as the community council would do. Because I felt like that was what our intention for our community council was being that voice and having those conversations versus committing time or other energy. So, sound reasonable? Okay. Rick, question. Sorry. He has a question.
Yeah, that was my question, because I read the letter too, and I'm like, I don't know who's going to attend all those meetings and things like that. I think we've all got a pretty busy schedule, so I'm happy to hear that we've all done that.
So, Rick, we did to inform the citizens of the Bonner Milltown Community Council through emails and social media. And number 2, promote Big Sky impact of activities and training through social media, etc. Promote, represent Bonner Milltown Community Council as a collaborative member by doing what we're doing, and share information, data, connections, and resources, and support the coalition's mission. So, that's what I committed. That's what I put in the letter that was attached within the agenda tonight. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Would you like to vote on the matter?
Yes. Vote? All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? All right. The council will take note of any available updates for the following areas of interest: the all-community council meeting in January. Facebook has a link on YouTube for public viewing. The council meeting was rather long. A woman named Heidi Scott will be taking over for the community councils. They discussed numerous things, the special district filing that was today, meeting minutes and agendas where public can view them, and we need to always send copies into Missoula County. Oaths of office was a real big thing, and they said that an oath of office needs to be completed for each member at the beginning of each term, and most of us have not been doing it. So we are supposed to contact the county and find out whether we are up to date, and if not, maybe at the next meeting, people take their oaths of office.
Those have to be notarized.
Possibly, yes, but they said that they have to be done in meetings too. So
I think
we have to have
if
somebody
you don't
on
do it at a
there.
meeting or with an elected official, it has to be notarized.
Oh, I see, I see.
Okay, they talked about data collection, which is annually, and we're supposed to have our address, what bank we use, the W-9s, and who are all the officers, and whatever vacancies we have, and training, which is supposed to be done in the spring. There's an online board training at the beginning of each term for people, and if you haven't been doing it, you should contact the county and try to get into the next class. They also mentioned that a new handbook will be in progress and it should be done sometime this year. There were several questions that people were asking, and since most of the community councils are awful small and not very many people, they were saying that they often didn't have an agenda available in time. I mean, mostly we do, but it's okay to wait until the agenda is finished and complete to hand it in. And they were asking about the oaths of office, and they wanted to know, did they need to be public? And it's best to be public during a meeting. We should also call the elections office for future elections and any candidates we have, and right now that's not an issue. The housing survey, they were encouraging people to do that. I've already done mine.
That's due February 15th.
Yes, and which is not far from now. A flyer for conduct surveys online. It starts on February 1st and through February the 15th, and do it through Missoula County Voice. And they will also take comments until March the 5th, and they'll have a public meeting at 6 p.m. on March the 5th, or you can attend it at the library in Cooper Room A or online. And let's see. They're asking questions about nursing homes, domestic violence, and food bank branches, and things like that. Just things that people in the county want to see. And they just want more respondents. I gather they haven't had very many of them. There was a question about Missoula County meetings. Each community council shall have a county meeting with departments and send out the mailers. We've already had ours. I guess they're still working their way through the rest of them. They had a discussion about all the community county grants, such as we had today, and encouraging people to sign up. And just as a little bit of an aside, I'm kind of wondering if people might be interested in having something like the Earth Day here, where they went out and a cleanup, dumpster might be provided in each neighborhood, and maybe I could go out there and see how much money it would cost to present that.
You can add that to public comment.
Yeah, it's public comment.
There you go.
Aside on that, but it was really good. They had round robins for each of the groups, and they gave updates. So anyway, that is what the whole community council meeting was. Okay, now we go to the public comment.
And I would just say I post the community council, all community council, on our Facebooks in its entirety through YouTube video. So there you go. But yes,
Okay.
public comment, go for it.
Okay, so I'm bringing up the thought that East Missoula did it last year, and they were very, very successful. And how many of the dumpsters and all that would we need? West Riverside, maybe 1 or 2 for Bonner, 1 for Pilsville, possibly 1 for Tura. So maybe as many as 5.
Yeah, let's talk to East. I like the idea.
Okay,
Is that May 19th, Earth Day, you mean, or are we
well, it doesn't
not
have to be
coordinating
Earth
with
Day.
that Earth Day, but just our own?
Yeah, let's make an open discussion to East Missoula to find out what the cost is, how do they coordinate that, and everything else, because I think it's a great idea.
We just have to promote it
I
a
know.
lot.
So we'll add it to, how about Jane, you want to reach out to East Missoula?
Yes,
And then we'll add it to a discussion item for, one of our discussion items for next meeting.
Next month.
And to present it more. And so we'll have it on the agenda for people to come in and comment on it and their ideas. How's that?
yes,
So, yeah,
okay. Any other public comment?
because we've got time. I like it.
Okay. Our next meeting will be March the 11th at 7 PM, a hybrid meeting both at the school and via Zoom. We don't have any agenda items for the next meeting except for this Earth Day thing. I make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:15. Would anyone second?
Second.
The meeting is adjourned.
See the little picture?